In particular, I want to start by acknowledging Peter, for you and your work, a Nobel Prize obviously, and I believe still the only person with a veterinary degree to have been awarded the Nobel Prize. And your work inspired the Institute to be created and has allowed, with its credibility and the reputation, a body of work to be established and created with support from others. I particularly want to acknowledge the Executive Director, Sharon Lewin, an Australian who's now been acknowledged and awarded in her own right on so many different fronts, but has led the work of the Institute. And then the more than 700 staff and students who are associated with the work of the Institute in some way, shape or form. In particular, you are part of the great Australian tradition of applied medical research, whether it's from Florey to Macfarlane Burnett to Ian Fraser to Elizabeth Blackburn, Fiona Wood, Fiona Stanley, and then Peter and the members of the Institute fit so well within that environment. Right now, we're supporting with the work of the National Health and Medical Research Council over $440 million of grants announced only in the last 2 weeks, and the University of Melbourne was one of the largest recipients, and in particular, of course, many of you will have been involved in grants as a result of that work. In addition, of course, right now is the moment where we are seeking to make breakthroughs with regards to the Medical Research Future Fund, and the fund is working on rare cancers and rare diseases. It's working on clinician-led programs, and indeed the University of Melbourne is part of the Frontier Science program. And then work in relation to translation and perhaps above all else, the great missions. And what we're seeing is that antimicrobial resistance is one of our national tasks, and the Institute is helping to lead a $21 million project on influenza. It's helping to do work on antimicrobial resistance with the support of the government, with the support of work that we're doing. And then there's the $3.7 million for the high security quarantine laboratory. So many of you are involved in these projects. They're all important, as well as the other ones you're doing. At the end of the day, whether it's influenza, whether it's antimicrobial resistance, or whether it's high security quarantine, each of these areas is about saving lives and protecting lives. You fit, most importantly, into a grand national tradition of participating in the great global discoveries. For that, I want to thank you, honour you, and wish you all of the best, not just for the next 5 years, but for the next 50 and beyond.